Hi guys, it's Marenghi here. I hope you're doing very well. So today's video is about antidepressants, or the Fair-Weather Friends, as I have christened them. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my mental health channel. People have said they found it useful and it's good for me, both for therapy and ego validations. When you subscribe to someone on YouTube, if you want to hear about each video they do, push the little bell icon and you can join the community. Okay. So my first experience with antidepressants was around 2.5 years ago, when, if you see the depersonalization videos, you'll know, and I mention it in loads of other videos as well, because it crops up naturally. It was the kind of seed from which this grew. Yes, the depersonalization symptoms kicked in with, I don't know if you've taken psychedelics or stayed awake for 3 days smoking weed and drinking coffee, but imagine you're okay one day and then you wake up feeling like that description I just gave the next day. It was like that, very derailing and extremely depressing and shit. Not to wallow in the shit of my own self-pity too much, but I've just made a mental health YouTube channel, so you be the judge of that. Anyway, the doctor prescribed me citalopram. I was reluctant to do it. That's why I waited 6 or 7 months. I didn't want to become dependent on something to help make me happy, and it felt like a weakness to myself. I felt like, you can sort this out, getting a dawn every day and going jogging and eating clean and the rest of it, which I did do for a long time, and it helped a little bit, but not really at all with the depersonalization. Anyway, so took citalopram. It was like snorting a line of unpleasant speed. Or it was like what other people have told me it's like to do that. It gave me insomnia. It made the depersonalization worse. It spiked my anxiety massively and was just the total opposite in what I was looking for. So after about 3 days of uninterrupted that, I stopped. Some of you out there are probably internally or externally yelling, you should have stuck with it, because it takes a while for them to help, which I have heard, but it was not worth it. I was trying to drive to go and teach in Newham in East London, and it was extremely challenging because it was like someone had just pumped you full of adrenaline, with no sleep, and I was actually being observed that day as well. I'm not sure how that observation went. I think I got quite a good mark, which goes to show, no matter how bad you're feeling, you can pull it out of the bag if you really have to. I can't stress that enough, guys. It's true. So I stopped, obviously, after 3 days, and felt some relief to be back to normal, even though normal was highly unpleasant, and just had embarked on my sober year that I've talked about before, of no caffeine, no nicotine, no drugs of any kind. Even the e-cigarette I had 0 nicotine in it, 0 milligrams nicotine in it. Getting up 6 every day, going running, eating incredibly clean, drinking insane amounts of water with lemon juice and going to bed early, living in a peaceful place, etc. Sad to say, it didn't help. If anything, it made it worse because I had nothing to take the edge off. I'm sure you can relate if you've had the symptoms. So everybody's body is different, obviously, and one of the reasons I tried citalopram in the first place as an antidepressant is because I'd read good things about it. People say, they say it might take a few days, but if you feel slightly better for a few days, or a little bit of turbulence, but then you're sort of on a nice trajectory. But I just thought, this isn't right for me. It's like I'm allergic to it or something. And I've heard basically 50-50 reports. Some people say exactly what I said about it. Some people say it really helped them. And good for the people it helped, because it can be a lifesaver. As I found out with sertraline, which we shall get to in a minute. It's really quite amazing how people take differently to different medications. So I guess it would have been about 2 years of self-medicating with Valium, but no lifters, no mood lifters for the depersonalization / depression, although the former caused the latter, definitely in my case. And it was just, I got through, and I started a job, and tried to fight and get, not fight, but fight the urge to withdraw and isolate and be unproductive and lie around, feeling sorry for myself. Did quite well. I've slipped, obviously, a few times, more than I care to admit, but I struggled on. And then it got to the point one day it was a Friday, the end of my job, and I was walking out and someone said, "You look absolutely exhausted. You don't look well." And it was synchronicity. It was the day that I'd booked an appointment to see the doctor for. I was going to see him after work to discuss sertraline, because I had heard from someone else who didn't even have the symptoms, but that sertraline was the best antidepressant out there, and that citalopram was crap. And this person was a doctor, by the way, off hours. So I decided to give it a try, and I kid you not, after 2 years of having a psyche and a mind, mostly, forgive the shouting, my lovely housemate is Italian, and I often think they're arguing when they're just talking. You can probably hear the footsteps as well. So after 2 years of my mind being like just a dark, damp cave of despair and heavy sorrow and just nothing good, no bounce or light or eminence, or I was probably just like this all the time without realizing. Anyway, within about an hour of taking a sertraline, I was like, whew. The lights came back. It was like the lights came back on. And I actually said, which I've confessed in a previous video, to myself in this very chair at this very desk, "The bitch is back," referring to myself, which is maybe oversharing. But what is a mental health channel if not a good reason, or at least an alibi, for oversharing? So yes, and I've taken it ever since. But the reason I call it a fair weather friend is because I started off on a low dose, obviously, as you do. And the doctor actually said to me, warned me, he said, "This will be like the citalopram. You'll have a few weeks of deep restlessness and anxiety and insomnia, and it will mess with you a bit." I was like, I don't care. I do not care. Like, if there's any chance it will help, I'll take a week with no sleep. And I meant it. That's how it was. Like, it's either this or I just break. If that's what it felt like. And a demanding job and stuff. Anyway, yeah, this like an amazing light switch came on. Like, you've been in a dark theatre and suddenly the lights come on and the show starts. It was that kind of thing. And it was really great. I remember messaging my parents about it, and they were really pleased about it, and it was awesome. So, needless to say, I transformed, basically, became a different person. I was a bit more bouncy and sprightly again. And you know how we are organised into learned this from Jordan Peterson, we're organised, and heard it from other places as well, but we're organised into a social hierarchy, which is, and your nervous system is attuned to it based on the amount of serotonin you have. So say if you're addicted to methamphetamine and homeless and slumped on the street, you're at the bottom of the social hierarchy, or the biological hierarchy, or the health hierarchy, or the status hierarchy, or the hierarchy with attraction from women. That obviously you're going to be depressed in that situation anyway, but that would make you even more depressed. And someone who's having lots of success in a positive way, at least in the short term, from what I've heard about success, is getting blasted with serotonin because they're going up the nervous system has realised that they're going up the hierarchy and they're more attracted to women and they're considered more competent by other men, and doors are opening up for them and they've got more money and they're financially stable and they're making a difference and their word is spreading, and I noticed people treating me differently after literally just fiddling around with my serotonin levels with this little pill. People were looking at me with more like respect in their eye at work, and I was obviously more in a much better mood, so I was joking around again, being more playful, and people responded to that. It was really good. But as I said in the Valium video, 50 milligrams of sertraline is very different to 50 milligrams of Valium. The first time Valium taking 50 milligrams of high quality tablets will probably struggle to walk. It might be blissed out, it might be pleasant, it might not be, but anyway, 50 milligrams is a low dose of sertraline. So I was on that. But you find, after a few weeks, like a fair weather friend, they're not consistent, and suddenly you're going down again. into the dark, damp cave or the theatre with no lights. And so you need to take more, don't you? So you take 100, you take 2 halves. And then you're back to the picture's back, and the lights are back on in the theatre, and the search and rescue team have found the gym teacher trapped with all the boys in Thailand, kind of metaphor. Apparently a little side note, apparently Elon Musk got in trouble for just declaring that guy was definitely a paedophile for getting trapped underground with all his kids. I'm not sure he was. Anyway, so you're back to normal for a few weeks, and you're like, yes, this is great, this is going to last. And then what happens? After, maybe it could be a month, could be 3 months, could be 4 months. Not only is this changing the pharmacology of your brain, the chemical balance in your brain, the neurophysiology of your brain, tricking you in some way, but you're becoming addicted to it. And if you stop taking them, you would crash harder than what's the guy off Top Gear, the short one who said incredibly disobliging things about Mexicans, and Richard Hammond, that's the one. You'd crash as hard as he did in his supercar of some kind. Like Stuart Lee pointed out, he wrote a book about nearly dying in his car crash. He said he's the only person to have a best-selling literary career in poor road safety skills, or stemming from poor road safety skills. So Richard Hammond aside, after a while 100 isn't enough, is it? And you need 150. And so it goes until you get to 200, which is in England anyway, the legal maximum you're allowed to be prescribed per day, although it's silly because you could very easily take 400 a day and just say you lost the second half of your antidepressants and go back to the doctor and the pharmacist and get more. I never took more than 200 a day. At the minute I'm on 100 a day, 50 in the morning and then 50 a bit later, combined with Valium. Full transparency, if you want to know. I used to be, before I got the kind of depression that makes you wake up every day for years feeling like everyone you know has just died. Okay, before I got that kind of depression, I used to think, I get sad as well, people should snap out of it. Why do they need to take tablets? It's so stupid, there's side effects, there's risks, they're addictive, blah, blah, blah. But as Jordan Peterson put it, if you were diabetic, would you not take your insulin? There are cases where it's a physiological condition, most cases, and you haven't. Being sad is not the same as being depressed. Okay, depressed is like, I want to die, there's no hope anywhere, life is torture for a prolonged period of time. That mindset is depression. An uninterrupted mindset like that, that's depression. It's not feeling a bit broody, the first few days of January and then sort of being okay again. So don't be, judge not lest ye be judged, as was written. And you can find yourself maxing out. So what I did, I got to about 200, and then I thought, now the 200 isn't really doing, or it didn't feel like it was doing much. But you can get, that's another risk. You can get complacent. It is helping you, and you forget how much it's helping you because you were taking them for so long. And you think, maybe my own changes to lifestyle have helped, not the antidepressant. So I started weaning off. Weaning off isn't so bad until you completely stop. I weaned back down to 50. Until quite recently, and then completely stopped. And obviously, this is another trick they play on you, is you stop taking them for 3 or 4 days, you're sort of okay. You're like, I'm tough. I didn't need them in the first place. But then it goes out of your system. And I sort of pictured it as I vowed to be completely honest about everything in this channel because I was taking 50 a day and was kind of it makes you more robust against the world, you know what I mean? It toughens you up a little bit. You get an email about something that's slightly annoying or stressful, you don't break down crying. 4 or 5 days after I stopped taking them altogether, an email, you get quite lots of annoying emails, but an email that would just implied that I had to do 10, 15 minutes of something tedious broke me down. I'm not ashamed to say it. You just become so sensitive and easily triggered, and when you've been on antidepressants for a long time and then come off, I found, depending on the condition. I know some people just take them for a few weeks or a few months because whatever the condition is or the reasons for it, and then they come off and their brain has sort of been fixed or healed to a large extent maybe. But it wasn't like that for me because the depersonalization is chronic and that's causing the depression, so it looks like I'm going to have to take hopefully low doses of it all my life. And like I say, judge not lest ye be judged. If you're watching this, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's better to be a bit addicted to the most widely prescribed antidepressant SSRI in the world than constantly suicidal. It really is. I think. No matter what the side effects. And side effects wise, I can't say I've noticed much. Well, as I said, when I first started it, I forgot to say actually, when I first started it, I was not sleeping till 2 or 3 a.m. But I was laid there in quite a good mood, so it was fine, and I was a bit slightly on edge as I transitioned into the drug. It's no good for your liver or kidneys, but neither is most of the stuff you're putting in yourself. What do you think paracetamol do when they are processed by your kidneys or liver, or your glass of wine, which is only healthy because of the grapes in it, not the alcohol, by the way. Or, I'm not being judgmental here, right? I indulge in things as well, but it's easy to focus a lot. People focus on smoking, say, in it because it's in vogue. Someone smoking at the dinner table, it's sort of socially acceptable to chastise them about it. Well, they wouldn't even be allowed to do it indoors now. But say if someone's morbidly obese, or they've just put 5 teaspoons of sugar in their coffee, it's like, he likes his sugar, he likes his food. It's a taboo to say you're killing yourself, mate, by or jokingly say you're killing yourself by eating sugar and carbohydrates and not exercising. Yes, another thing I'll say is take them with a pinch of salt, but you have to be your own doctor to some extent. Only you know how a pill sits with you. A doctor could say this works really well for 95% of people, and you could be in the 5% where it gives them a mental breakdown, which might sound extreme, but check out Big No-No, who I've mentioned a few times in praise and criticism, but he was fine, and then he had some sort of, I can't remember what it was, just a basic injection of some kind, maybe to help with his fitness, and he had a total mental breakdown and depersonalization collapse into, and the rest of it, and has made some brave videos about it, and I think he's a bit nakedly profiteering now, but yeah, I admire the guy. You could be in that, and he was saying it's like 0.01% of people have a risk of total mental breakdown, so he's thinking, well, I'll be fine, and he wasn't fine for years, and was indeed sectioned. So yes, you know how a pill or a diet sits with you. Don't listen to the peer pressure on this. Don't listen to your parents or friends on not to the point of stubbornly blocking out useful constructive criticism or advice, but you know how it feels in your body. Some people hate Valium, some people love it. Some people hate sertraline, some people love it. Some people hate citalopram, some people love it. Some people like Maroon 5. God knows what's going on in this crazy world. So, just some reflections on antidepressant, the Fair-Weather Friend. So, I'm going to end it there. Like I said, if you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, hit the bell, next subscribe, and YouTube lets you know. Please like it with the thumb thing. I know it can sound tedious and superficial, all this sort of stuff, but the YouTube algorithm, I've learned all this stuff now, likes that. And it likes people watching all the videos, which is why I'm so grateful to the few trolls that I'm proud to say I've acquired. Because they watch all my videos and leave comments, and the YouTube algorithm loved it. So, who needs antidepressants when you've got your own trolls? Alright guys, it's a playlist below as well. Links to music and stuff. This has been Antidepressants, the Fair-Weather Friends. Take it easy. Bye.